This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net. It is Tuesday afternoon, the last day of September. Okay, I'm going to start to cry. It's the last day of September, but it's
No,
time
it's not. It's the
for
last day of August.
August.
Okay, we'll edit that out, right? Here, I'll take over.
Where are we? Take over, sir.
It's the last day of August. It's Tuesday afternoon. That means it's time for What in the World with me, Paul Seaburn.
That's
Hey,
it.
everybody, welcome to the show.
Oh,
The woman, the confused woman on the screen over there in your ear in the bed podcast is Karen Hale, our producer and media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. Yes, it is August 31st. 19 wait now you did it to me. 1921. It's the roaring 20s, people. We've entered a time warp here.
We have.
To save us, fortunately, is our co-host John DiNallo with What in the World of Sports, and our color commentator and all-around good guy. How you doing, John?
I'm doing well, Paul.
What year
Hi,
is
Karen.
it, John?
Another week. I know it's 2021.
Yay!
At least I have escaped so far unscathed. I don't have any mistakes yet, but give me time. Give me time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, don't worry. We'll let you know. So anyways, we're here at What in the World. Our motto is real news, sometimes strange, always funny. And that's why you join us every week, we hope. We talk about the weird news of the week, give you some fun things to think about, to laugh at, get away from the bad news, the political news, the business news. We don't talk about any of that kind of stuff. Our stuff is the weird, the paranormal, the UFOs, the strange creatures, the funny stuff that goes on around the world. And we really do go around the world. That's why we're called What in the World. In fact, let me get right to it here. Oh, by the way, while you're here, our platform is newclevelandradio.net. So please go there, click on my name, and you'll find links to our YouTube videos and Instagram and all that other good stuff. Then take a look at some of, or listen to some of the other podcasts that Karen had. Very, very interesting, informative at newclevelandradio.net. It's expanding. It's the place to be on the podcast world platform. There. Was that the right motto?
Yeah. You got it.
I'll edit it out later with everything else. So far we've done 5 minutes, which I think we got 30 seconds. Good stuff. So here we go. Let's get right into the news. Maybe we'll recover here. So for John, who always likes the food stories, I've got a story about cubic food. Get ready for that, John. Ice cream in space, which is a new thing here. We've got giant slugs in Poland. So Poland always has some good stories. For John loves those Bigfoot stories. I've got a Bigfoot in Idaho with pictures. So be ready.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this is, I know I've talked about this before, but it's been a while. The three-fingered, three-toed mummy aliens from Peru have come back to haunt us. So this is big news in the three-finger world, in the mummy world. Yes, Karen's doing an impression of our mummy for us. Wait, don't worry, Karen, I've got pictures for you. And then for those people who complain that we never have clear pictures of UFOs, I've got a very nutty UFO with pictures from Toronto, plus a whole bunch of other weird stuff, odd news, trivia, strange sports with John. And then, of course, before we leave, we'll play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. So again, real news, sometimes strange, always funny. Join us every week here for this, and let's get right to it with a good example of the weird news. So people who know me know that I'm a fan of weird toys, and especially gag toys. So for example, if you come into my office, you'll see on my shelf some of those chattering teeth. I've got a set of x-ray glasses to see through clothing. Haha, it doesn't really work. I've got a fart machine, the classic stuff. So many of these and some of the more sophisticated types of gags have come from a guy by the name of Don Pointer. And I bring this up because Don passed away this week. I believe he was close to 90. He's an Ohio resident. He was an Ohio resident, born and raised in Cincinnati. And I always like to talk about Ohio people. But this guy, he's my hero. He came up with, I'm going to just give you a small taste. In fact, I have to put up a picture of one of them here, a small taste of the classic toys that Don Pointer has come up with. So I have on the screen here the talking toilet. This was one of his first inventions. The talking toilet is something that fits behind your toilet or inside the tank, I think. And a little thing, a little speaker runs from a wire from there into underneath the seat. And when you sit down, it says things like, move over, you're blocking the light.
Oh my God.
Or, hey, I'm working down here. Oh, fun galore from the wonderful weird mind of Don Pointer. Then once he realized he could make money selling this kind of stuff, he comes up with another classic gag, and this one is called the Go-Go Girl drink mixer.
Oh my gosh.
Now, this is to use your imagination for those of you who aren't visiting us on YouTube. It looks like a Barbie doll holding a giant cup holder standing on a platform. And there's a switch on the platform. So obviously there's batteries in it. Put the batteries in, you put your drink in the cup holder, you turn the switch, and the doll dances.
Oh,
And as she shakes and shimmies and waves her arms, your drink gets mixed. Gag gift, but actually somewhat practical.
who needs a bartender?
Who needs a bartender, Karen? That's exactly right. When you've got the dancing Go-Go Girl drink mixer.
Yes.
Now, one of the sex symbols of the 50s and the 60s was a lady by the name of Jane Mansfield. So Jane Mansfield inspired Don Pointer to come up with this, the Jane Mansfield hot water bottle, because hot water bottles weren't selling for some strange reason. So he says, you know what you people need? You need a hot water bottle that people would like to cuddle up to. So he cut a deal with the real Jane Mansfield, and she endorsed it and modeled for it.
Oh my God.
I have a picture of the real Jane Mansfield in a pool surrounded by little Jane Mansfield hot water bottles.
Oh, geez. I need to get one for my husband.
Oh, by all means,
Yeah.
Karen, get a whole get a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Because they're not real big. So anyways, but the one that the gag that Don Pointer made his money on was something called the little black box. Now, for those of you who remember, the little black box came in a red box. And I have a picture of it up here. All it was a black box, a shiny black box with a little like a joystick sticking out of it, a tiny little joystick. And what you did was you pushed the joystick forward. And when you did that, the box started to vibrate and make noise. And all of a sudden, the lid opened and a little hand came out and pushed the stick back to the upright position. And then the hand went back in and the thing shut down. So it wasn't selling too well, but what happened was a little show called The Addams Family came on at that time. And if you remember The Addams Family, they had The Thing, which was a real human looking hand that lived in a box. So he cut a deal with The Addams Family to endorse it. And after that, he sold 14 million.
Wow. Jeez.
14 million.
Oh my gosh.
And that's all it did, John. You didn't even have to put a quarter in. I've seen the banks where you put a quarter in a slot.
Yes.
The hand comes out and grabs the
Yeah.
quarter, goes
Right,
back in. All this did was turn itself off.
Wow.
My kind of gag gift.
Sometimes
So-
simple is better.
Yeah. Don Pointer, interesting guy, born in Cincinnati, went to the University of Cincinnati. While he was there, he became a drum major because he knew how to twirl a baton. Well, he perfected his act and used flaming batons. He was seen by the Harlem Globetrotters, and they hired him to be their opening and halftime entertainment.
Huh.
just absolutely very interesting guy. So I wanted to mention him. I'm sure he's having fun in heaven right now, showing off his stuff. So anyway, so let's move to something something else that happened in the news this week. Engineers at the University of Cincinnati have developed multiple robots that can work independently, but also work together to move large, odd-shaped objects around, like a couch, through areas with obstacles in them, as if you're moving out of your house. Again, I think I have a picture of one of the robots here. Oh no, my mouse just disappeared. Oh, there we go. So there's one of the robots right there.
Oh, is he cute?
Isn't he cute?
Yeah.
I don't think this is it. They look
Oh.
more like the industrial robots. But anyway, I'm thinking, if this thing can move your couch and other stuff in your house, if it can also take you to the airport, we're about to lose friends as we know it, because that's what you call your friends for when you need a ride or you need them to move. Other than that, except for the three of us.
Well
So
stated.
anyway.
Well stated. Very
So
good.
now this one comes from Norway. As I said, real news from around the world. But this one comes from Norway, and I want to put the picture up here, and I'll read it to those not watching. So this picture is a sign that's on Norway's river border with Russia, and the sign says, "No peeing towards Russia." So basically, Russia is right on the other side of the river over there. It's against the law to pee into the river in the direction of Russia. Anyone doing it faces a fine of $340 for violating a law which prohibits offensive behavior at the border intended for the neighboring state or its authorities. There you go. $340. No peeing towards Russia. It's a good thing we don't have one of these signs on the border of Michigan and Ohio. Because I know there's
Excuse me, you are outnumbered today.
I know I'm outnumbered. That would be on both sides.
Okay.
You know what's interesting about that sign, Paul? It's in English, though. Wouldn't it be?
It is in English, yes. Well, the
Norwegian?
Norwegians are multilingual, John.
Okay, sure.
There are
all right.
other signs up there in Norwegian that probably say, "Listen to the stupid Americans talking about the fact that there's a sign in English."
Oh,
Wow.
Because they're not multilingual like us Norwegians, eh? No, those are
Yay.
the Canadians.
Ah.
hey,
Okay, all right. So now we will move from number one to number two, so to speak. And this is a popular story this week. A home security camera in Bristol, Connecticut, caught a bear. And I think I have a picture of the bear here. A bear stealing an Amazon package filled with toilet paper out of a garage and carrying it down the street before it finally dropped it. The bear was later found in the woods, surrounded by agents trying to assign it to represent for Charmin commercials. Now, this actually happened. A real black bear, broke into the garage, stole toilet paper, and was heading towards the woods, so to speak. In a related story, speaking of that, Pope Francis was seen entering a Catholic church, which goes to that's a reference to the rhetorical question: does a bear poop in the woods?
Oh, okay.
And is the Pope Catholic? Interesting.
on your wavelength, Paul. That's exactly.
Oh,
what
wait a
you
minute.
were
Wait, hold on. I'll get back to that. But first, I want to talk about Charmin for a second, because Charmin isn't the only. It was pointed out to me. Charmin's not the only toilet paper company that has a bear on there. For some reason, they like to use bears as their mascots. The Charmin Paper Company in 1928, their mascot was a female silhouette. That's all they had on the package. Someone very famous replaced that motto, that logo, in 1964. And I'll give you a hint. The manufacturer wanted to emphasize the product's softness. Remember what that might be, John or Karen? Charmin bathroom tissue, squeezably soft.
Oh, Mr. Whipple?
Mr. Whipple. probably the most famous
Oh,
spokespersons for a product in history. I've got a picture of Mr. Whipple up here holding, this is the classic television commercial, holding a 4-pack of Charmin. Who buys 4-packs anymore? And what he used to say on a sign behind him, please don't squeeze the Charmin. This guy, Dick Wilson was his name. He did over 500 commercials, 500 Charmin commercials on various variations of the theme of not squeezing the Charmin. George was his first name, George Whipple. I didn't realize that. He was their spokesperson from 1964 to 1985, 21 years.
wow.
Pretty good for a spokesperson. In 1985, he was replaced by the Bears, unfortunately. So let's get back, the Bears. Let's get back to the rhetorical question, does a bear poop in the woods? It's similar rhetorical question. Is water wet? Does a frog bump his butt on the ground when it hops? And my personal favorite, does Dolly Parton sleep on her back? Write that one down, John. I know you're going to use it.
Oh, good one.
So for those who are curious like me, bears don't always poop in the woods, by the way. Believe it or not, according to bear experts, they poop when they're full.
Oh,
Yeah,
that makes
they paid
sense.
Good money. Yeah, they paid good money for that, but because, and it happens frequently because they have a very simple digestive system. So basically, food goes in and comes right back out again. Look, I'm not even going to mention the kind of food that does that to me. They also Taco Bell. There you go. They also poop when they're exerting themselves. So when they're chasing a human uphill, that they leave a trail of poop behind them. And when they're under stress, why would a bear be under stress other than seeing a hunter? I can't think of any other reason why they'd be under stress. So anyway, that's Mr. Whipple for you, and a little bit of trivia on the Charmin company. So sticking with our oh no, we're not right now. We're going to move to Poland, and we always have some great stories from Poland. So this one comes from the Tatra National Park. So kind of along the same thing. We're talking about bears in parks. This is the Tatra National Park in southern Poland. No bears that I'm aware of, but authorities are warning locals to be on the lookout for invasive giant gray slugs that will reach 8 inches in length. And I've got a picture of one because I know Karen.
Oh.
There you go. Excuse me. That's an 8-inch slug crawling along the ground in the Tatra National Park. It's bad because it eats native slugs. So they love their slugs in Poland, apparently.
I guess.
They don't want to lose their native slugs, so they want to get rid of these giant ones. But they have no known enemies. So the only thing that they can think of, the only thing that they can do is teach old Polish women, babushkas they call them, how to make slug kielbasi and slug pierogies out of this stuff. And once they figure that out, the slugs will completely disappear. To inspire them, they're working on a replacement for the song "Who Stole the Kishka?" Who stole the giant slug?
I'm not feeling that one, Paul.
Yeah.
I'm not going for that one, are you, John? Okay. All right, let's move on to Wisconsin. Where and this was a very popular story this week. A car was seen at a McDonald's drive-through in Wisconsin. I'm going to put a picture up here of what they saw. Someone was parked next to this car, and they noticed that there was a cow in the back of the car waiting for their bag of burgers at McDonald's in the back seat. They posted the picture on social media, and the owners contacted them to let them know that it's legal to have a cow in your back seat in Wisconsin. And that wasn't the only cow. They had 2 more that were lying down on the back seat asleep. 3 cows in the back seat.
How could they fit?
I don't, well, they said,
how big
they're
is it?
calves. They're calves.
It's
Dude,
got-
look at the head on that cow. It fills up the whole window. That's a big
Yeah.
cow. Yeah.
no kidding. Wow.
So it's legal to legal to have a cow in your back seat?
Why are you taking them to McDonald's?
That's the question. And that's what's going to get them into trouble, Karen, because that's animal cruelty. Taking a cow to McDonald's is animal cruelty. And that's what they might get them on. But I mean,
Wow.
you put a cow in your car, only two things can happen. And one of them is not very good. I mean, I don't like it when people fart in my car. You know what's going to happen when you put a cow in your car. I'm sorry. And what do you do when you're driving around? Do you open the window and let them hang their head out the window? I mean, the only good thing that could come of that is it'll make the people in front of you start up faster when they hear something mooing. Other than that, what? Why would you do this? They claim they bought the 3 cows at an auction, and that was the only way they could get them home. If you're going to a cow auction, take a truck. I mean,
So they just got hungry. And that's why they stopped at McDonald's, obviously.
Oh yeah, so they're on their way home. Yeah, and they're thinking, oh, what? Wait, here we are with 3 cows in the back seat. What could we eat? What does it inspire us to? They go to McDonald's. They could have taken them to Chick-fil-A at least, or KFC. So the cows don't be offended.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Eat more chicken, like the slogan goes for them, right?
There you go. Yeah, that's right, John. So speaking of John, I know this for a fact. John likes a good meal. And John also likes to eat 3 squares a day. Now, before I get into the next story, you know where that expression came from, 3 squares a day?
No.
Any guess? It comes from the nautical world, like Christopher Columbus time.
Okay.
The nautical term from old sailing ships, because ships are always bouncing and stuff falls off the shelves. They made the plate square so that they could fit tightly onto the shelf and not fall off when the waves started bouncing. So that's what so it was used. The plate also doubled as a tray. So the sailors would go with their square plate and get their food and go back and sit down and eat, and then they put it back on the shelf. And they got 3 meals a day, and that's what they called it, 3 squares a day.
Got it.
Never knew that.
We still use that expression today, 3 squares a day. So speaking of square food, this would be perfect for the square plates. Company in Florida called Square Eats, hint, hint, is developing square food, and it's actually food in a cube, compressed cubes of real meat, vegetables, grains, natural spices, nutrients, and no preservatives, that requires no cooking, no refrigeration, but gives you food that they're convinced will convince eaters that convenience is better than the joy of cooking or the joy of eating. So I've got a picture here of a couple sitting with it. By the way, they're using square plates. So they're having a square meal and they're eating cubes of food. And they're big enough. They're about the size of a chunky chocolate bar.
Yeah.
If you remember those, that's it for those that can't see the picture. But I would never eat a chunky chocolate bar with a knife and a fork. And these people are using a knife and a fork to cut these little cubes up like they're actually enjoying a meal. And the lady has a red cube, 2 brown cubes, and a white cube. So I'm going to change the picture here. I believe that the red cube is tomatoes or the vegetables, and that's what they actually look like right there. The brown cube is probably a burger in this shape, compressed.
Ooh.
Yeah, compressed. It's 50 grams, according to the picture here, 50 grams, soft and tender vegetal burger. Just like Mom used to press in the trash compactor.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's, why would anybody eat this stuff?
And what's the white one?
Oh, the white one must be mashed potatoes, of course. I couldn't find a picture.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't find. So, this is supposed to be like space age. You don't have to cook, but this is for busy people who don't have time to shop, don't have time to cook. They deliver these cubic meals to your door, and all you have to do is stack them and take a few and eat them. And apparently they say they're filling. And I was thinking this, this sounds modern, but didn't George Jetson do stuff like that?
Yeah.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
space?
sure.
That's what I thought too. In fact, I think I have a picture of George right here. Oh, so this is George Jetson and his boy Elroy and daughter Judy and Jane, his wife, ordering food from a machine that spits it out onto their plates.
Yep.
And you can see they had a nice selection: beef stroganoff, Irish stew, fried chicken. But then I found a picture of George and Rosie, their maid. Oh, so Rosie's over here making real looking food. So I was puzzled. I couldn't figure out for sure if the Jetsons ate cubes or pills or if they actually ate real food. I don't know. The other thing I always wondered is why did they need a maid? I mean, at all the conveniences, they really didn't need a maid for anything. But
Didn't they have a robot? Didn't they have
that's what we're showing here, John. Rosie the robot was her name.
a
So
robot?
that gives you a hint to
Sure.
her nationality. The very, very shapely robot. there.
Yes. Yes, she is. Mhm.
So speaking of space age food, SpaceX, the private space company, their latest cargo to the International Space Station brought real ice cream, real frozen ice cream.
Wow.
For one of the NASA astronauts, Megan MacArthur, was celebrating her 50th birthday while in space. So they shipped real, not the freeze-dried stuff that we used to joke about that the original astronauts had, but actual ice cream, along with lemons, cherry tomatoes, and avocado. Sounds like a very weird birthday to me, but ice cream sounds good. She also requested a piñata, but I don't think that would work in the weightless space station. So they said no, ixnay on the piñata pay, but she got her ice cream. So I thought that was pretty nice. So one more food story here to segue into our next story. This one comes from Canada, from the town of Mississauga, which is near Toronto. And the people in Mississauga were mystified by a UFO that they saw, a very strange looking UFO. And I know John always complains about us not having UFO pictures. So here's a picture for you, John. That's the UFO that they saw. Now, I had one that was a little more blurry that really kind of hid the image, but I'm not going to ask you what you think it is there. So a lot of people said that this was definitely a UFO. They saw the shadow on the ground. There's a picture of the shadow. Now I'm going to give you a guess. What do you think that UFO actually was?
The Planter's Peanut Man.
There you go. But why was he in space?
Because somebody launched him.
Some cruel Canadian. Who says Canadians are nice people? They launched Mr. Peanut into space. That'd make a good story, Karen. I'm going to write that one down.
Okay.
But in the meantime, let me show you what that UFO actually is. And you're absolutely right.
Wow.
There's a hot air balloon in the shape of a Mr. Peanut, and it was flying over there. When it was very far away, they couldn't tell. But it hit. The poor police were getting all kind of phone calls about a UFO over Mississauga. And hard name to say, Mississauga. I would say Toronto because that's the closest big city. So of course, the police, after they realized what it was, they had some very salty words for the people calling. Oh, there's our punt for the day. Okay.
Where's your horn, Paul? Where's your horn?
No, that's right. I haven't used my pun horn in quite a while. I'll have to resurrect it, John, just for that request. Okay. So now, as I said, John loves to have photos because if there's no photo, it didn't happen. And as I do as well, and I know Karen does, he complains about when the photos are blurry, and I agree with that. So get ready, John, because I got a couple of good ones here of Bigfoot. So this story comes from Idaho, unknown location in Idaho, and this was posted on NVTV on YouTube, which is a repository of Bigfoot videos. So, but this is one of the best ones they've ever seen, so they say. And it's pretty clear. It's only a few seconds long. I couldn't find a short video for us to to put up, but I do have a picture if my mouse ever comes back here. There we go. So there's a picture of a Bigfoot walking through the woods in Idaho. Now, the first thing that I would say about this Bigfoot is that it's big. It has a big head, has a big body, has a big butt, which you don't normally see. Don't normally see such a protrusion on a Bigfoot. He has big calves. It appears he has big feet. I'm not sure. Those are hidden by some brush. So if this was a human, and I know that's what John's thinking, right, John?
He's still, well, in the world of Bigfoot pictures or photos, that one's reasonable. That one's
Oh,
reasonable.
okay. Well, all right. Karen, how about you? I think Karen thinks
He looks, almost real.
almost real. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
take it.
I mean, it could be trick photography making him look that big.
True. That's
Okay.
true. He was walking similar to a human, not similar to a bear or an ape. So that gave me a better feeling that this might be a real Bigfoot. I've got a picture of it with another angle here. Unfortunately, they're all from the rear, but the calves of the Bigfoot were what impressed people. The butt impressed me. I thought that was huge. But the calves and the thighs were what impressed people. And if this was a real costume, it's very well done because it fits perfectly. There's no sags. You can't see any seams where the head might connect to the body. So whoever, if it's a costume, whoever did it did a really fine job. You don't see.
Look at that picture very clearly. Okay. Yeah. There's an outline around him.
An outline. Oh, that's true. On this particular picture, there is.
Yeah.
There isn't on this one. I'm not sure how they got that other picture. This is the one that I saw from the video, which it doesn't. It's now I know where you're going with that this could be a computer generated.
No. That's not where I was going with it. It almost looks like there's like a shadow or something on the other side of him with that line.
Oh, okay. Well, my thoughts on that, I was looking a couple of things that always bother me about these. One is I was looking for like some leaves moving as it walked by or a branch, and nothing like that happened, which is more difficult to do when you do computer generation, to fake it. Also, it's hard to tell how big it is. That's a very skinny tree. And there's no other trees and nothing else that would give us some perspective on whether it's a big Bigfoot or a small Bigfoot or a small person, whatever it might be. The other thing that always bothers me about these, and I don't remember if I put did I put the other picture in here? No, get back over here. The you never see the face. You never see the face, and that's one that I always look for, because it's very difficult to make a costume face that looks like a creature, and I always look for that, something where even if it were winking its eye or chewing or making a grimace like it stepped on something, that would tell me, holy smoke, this is the best video I've ever seen. This one doesn't have that. So and it's still grainy. John, I have the same complaint that you always have. Yes. It was taken from far away. It was taken with a phone, I'm sure. The other thing that bothers me is the anonymity of it. There was nothing that said that the person who took the video went to look for footprints or like the Bigfoot poop in the woods, look for some poop or anything. That could be
evidence, physical evidence. Yeah.
Physical evidence. That's right. So if they didn't follow it, they didn't go, backtrack and see where it came from. So it's all those things add up to me, pushes my needle over into the very skeptical side. However, Idaho is, and we talked about the states where there's a lot of Bigfoot sightings. Idaho is one of them. Idaho is number 5 on the list for Bigfoot sightings per person. In population. And this is one of my favorites from 2017. A woman is driving on US 95 near Potlatch, Idaho. And she claimed that she was watching a Bigfoot chase a deer along the side of the road. 8-foot tall Bigfoot. So she's driving, she's watching the Bigfoot, she's watching the deer. All of a sudden, the deer runs in front of her and she hits it, and Bigfoot runs away. At least that's what she told the police. They looked around, they didn't find any Bigfoot, they didn't find Bigfoot poop, they didn't find anything. But she was hoping that would get her off, and apparently not.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned.
Yep.
That's right. So most of the people that commented on the video actually believe that this was one of the best Bigfoot videos they've ever seen. And I'll say that it is one of the better Bigfoot videos that I have seen. That doesn't, I'm not saying that it's a Bigfoot. I'm just saying if it's a good video, a well-made video. It'd be nice if we could vote one way or the other, but there's nothing in it that says that it is, and there's nothing in it that says convincingly that it isn't. So that means it's up to you.
That's
Okay.
Take a look at it. Take a look. I did a story on this. Yeah, I did a story on this on mysteriousniverse.org, where I'm the editor and head writer. You can click on that, and there's a link to the video. Decide for yourself. Now, here's another. This is another decide for yourself video story. Now, I think I've talked about this on the show before. The three-fingered alien mummies from Peru. Now, this story comes from Nazca, which is the home of the famous Nazca lines, and I've got some pictures of those in a second. I'll explain what those are. But there's a cave in Peru. And some people went into the cave and they found some mummies in there, and they brought. Now this is the Incas in Peru were known to mummify their dead, just like the Egyptians and some other cultures. So this is not unusual. What's unusual is what I'm about to show you on the screen here, and I'll explain. That's Bigfoot butt. There we go. So what's unusual is that these mummies had 3 very long fingers on each hand and 3 very long toes on each foot. Although I think the one that I'm showing right here only has 2. I think one broke off of that one. But in general, they had 3 fingers, 3 long fingers, 3 long toes. And you can see at their head, it had a very elongated head like an alien. The eye sockets were not human shaped. They're shaped like an alien again. The creatures, the mummies are small, they're thin. So, you know, just from looking at them, people think these are aliens. These must be mummified aliens. So the Peruvian, I think I have another couple of other pictures here to show you. There we go. There's a picture from a different side. So you can see the mummy is in a fetal position. Now, they didn't unfold them or anything, but they took x-rays of them when they first found them. And you can see that in the x-rays that there's a rib cage, there's bones, there's a skull, and you can see there's a skull inside that elongated head. So, you know, somewhat human looking at first glance from my non-medical, non-doctor position here. But it sure looks like it might be some humanoid form. And then we've got the 3 fingers down below there. So Nazca is famous. This is one of our informative shows here. Nazca is famous for the Nazca lines. Now, somewhere in the early 1900s, one of the first pilots to come to South America was flying over this desert, the Nazca Desert. And he looks down and he sees these pictures drawn in the sand, pictures that are hundreds of feet long, hundreds of feet wide, that can only be seen from space. And this is a picture of a spider. But the pictures vary. There's I've got a picture of this is a representation of many of them. There's birds, hummingbirds, I think they refer to them as. There's something that looks like a dog. There's also something that looks like a human. And then there's just lines going in all different directions. So not knowing the Incas didn't, the locals didn't have an explanation that the Europeans liked. So they decided that these are messages to aliens, and the lines are landing strips for alien spaceships. Okay, you got that.
Hmm.
Okay, so back to the mummies. So they find the mummies. So they've been studying them since 2017, and this is not one of those secret studies. The Peruvian government is involved because these are obviously antiquities from Peru that they like to protect. Could be real Peruvians, they may not necessarily be aliens. One of the theories was that it's a hoax by ancient people who, and I don't want to get too graphic here, but they took bones and glued them together and made them into these strange things and covered them with fake skin and then mummified them. Well, that's a pretty tough thing to do in 2021, let alone in the 1500s or the 1300s or wherever.
Yeah, that needs to be like an elaborate process.
Pretty much so, John. I agree with you. And also believe it or not, there's something called the World Congress of Mummies that not only studies, but also tries to protect mummies around the world, because they've been used as souvenirs and God only knows what. Besides being studied for the culture and the history that you can learn from them. So after all this stuff, all these hours and hours of study, they still couldn't figure out what they were. So now this is the latest update from 2021. This guy by the name of Enrico Cantori. He's a mummy researcher in Peru, and he was allowed to go in and see the latest stuff and actually touch the mummies. And he did an interview on YouTube, and he says that they've confirmed that the beings were once alive. And they I think I have a picture of one of the. Okay, they're not all. The tallest ones are like 2 or 3 feet tall. They even found some that are like smaller, like maybe 1.5 feet, and I've got a picture of those here. They look like little people, except for the 3 fingers and the 3 very skinny people with very square shoulders and large heads. But they look like they're from Star Wars or The Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. Oh, and I'm gonna leave this one for a second here. So this one, this is the one they studied the most, and this was a female. Now you can see across her chest. That's not a bra. That's an insert, an implant in her chest, and not a breast implant either. Before you think, don't even think that, John.
I didn't say that. I wasn't thinking that, Paul.
So anyway, so this is now, Karen, I want you to notice.
It looks pregnant.
There you go. That's right. I'm going to show you an X-ray in a second. So the first thing they said was that they analyzed the implant without removing it, and the implant was 85% copper. And Peru obviously is a big copper place. So they're not sure why it was there, and it's shaped like a dumbbell, like a barbell. So they couldn't figure out what that was from. But she definitely is pregnant. However, there's not a fetus, but 3 eggs inside her abdomen, or at least
Wow.
it looks like 3 eggs. Yeah. So I have an X-ray up here of the 3 eggs, and you can see obviously how alien her face looks. So they inserted a needle, because these are not solid. These are they're still pliable tissue. They inserted a needle into one of the eggs, and the needle went all the way in, and they extracted something, but this guy wouldn't tell what the needles found.
Huh.
He was not allowed to discuss that. So they found that the implant, and they said, the way he described it, he says the bones are evenly and harmoniously covered by the skin, the joint, and the ligaments, which basically means, they were that's the way they were when whatever this is died. It was not assembled by someone, because it's awfully hard to assemble something like that. So now the Peruvian government is all, they're all in on this, because this could be huge news if they really are aliens. So they at one time they thought they were fake. Now they're starting to lean towards these being actual mummified aliens straight from Peru.
Wow.
So they're guarding them with their whatever they guard them with over
That's
there.
quite a story, Paul.
Yeah, yeah. So that, but this is kind of like Bigfoot, John. This brings us closer to resolution, but it still doesn't prove that these are aliens.
Right.
And you go into the cave, there's no pictures of spaceships and anything like that. So, then you kind of get disappointed. They still can't explain the Nazca lines either. So it's a huge mystery. But by far one of the most interesting mysteries that I've come across in my in my work with the paranormal and with UFOs and aliens. It's by far my favorite story. I've probably done a dozen stories on the three-fingered mummified aliens from Peru. So there's another one for you on
Very
what
good.
in the world. So
Very good.
that's for our listeners who are more interested in the paranormal stuff. We got a couple of paranormal stories there for you. Now back to the weird news, and that means it's time for What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. Every week, John brings us a very strange sports story. He's got a great one this week, so I'm going to let him get right into it. And Karen, get ready. You've never heard of this one.
Oh my.
Oh yeah. Thanks for the intro, Paul. Thank you. So our sport this week is rabbit jumping. Yes.
I jump. Okay.
It's rabbit.
Don't we know that, John? We know
Well,
rabbits jump, right? This is a
yes, we
sport.
do. Yes, we do. But it's a sport. It's an organized sport. So rabbit show jumping, also known as Kanahop in Swedish, is a competition that involves bunnies bouncing their way around courses that consist of several small jumps of various heights. Yes, it is modeled after horse show jumping.
Yeah, okay, so Karen, just to prove to you this is a real thing, there's a picture of a bunny hopping over
On a leash.
on a leash. Yeah. Well, John, I think John will mention what the leash is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll reference that
Just
later.
like at a horse jumping event in the Olympics. Continue, John.
Okay, so the sport began in Sweden in the 1980s, where a
Sweden.
rabbit club there started to arrange a rabbit jumping competition. The first national championship was held in 1987 in Stockholm, Sweden. And after that competition, other parts of Europe started to form rabbit jumping clubs.
Oh, so it's really popular
Yes, it is in Europe primarily.
in
Okay.
Europe. Okay.
Okay. By 1994, the Swedish Federation of Rabbit Jumping, it's also known as the SKRF, was established. In 2001, the Rabbit Hopping Organization of America was founded with guidance from judges that traveled to the US from Denmark.
There you go, Karen.
So these
Official.
games, yeah,
There's organization. Now you can't deny it.
I guess not.
And one in the United States, John. That's amazing.
it is. And the organization follows the exact same rules and regulations for rabbit hopping that takes place in Europe.
Wow.
Now, the American Hopping Association for Rabbits and Cavies, together with the American Rabbit Breeders Association, held the very first national competition in the United States in 2001 in Indianapolis, Indiana. You may want to, yeah.
There's a picture over here of a rabbit competing in the Olympic Games in 2012, the Rabbit Olympic Games.
Now, the attributes that are needed to become a champion of rabbit show jumping are threefold. One is agility, second is courage, and third is determination. Now, breeders will train their rabbits as many as 8 weeks before the show jumping competition by walking with them with the harness and talking with them throughout the training, and then also during the competition events. So
they're not trained. They're not trained to be off the leash. They have to be on the leash.
Right. Now, these rabbits must first take part in 4 different rounds that include different types of barricades, rails, and jumps while the rabbits are attached, to a lead or a leash. Other courses also include a crooked course, a straight course, a long jump, and a high jumping challenge. There are 5 height levels ranging from 7.8 inches to 19.5 inches high. That's a bunny hop, if you ask me.
Oh, there you go. Here's one right here.
Oh, is he cute?
Yeah, 20 inches. That's pretty high for a rabbit to jump.
Sure,
Um,
sure. Okay.
that's amazing.
Yeah. And all
Oh, and
rabbit,
then they also do a long jump, you said?
yes, that's one of the challenges. It's called
Long
long
jump and a high jump.
jump,
Okay.
right? Both of those. Um, all rabbit breeds are allowed to compete, but the competition favors average-sized rabbits.
Ah,
For a rabbit to excel, it should have long legs and a long back to help it maneuver over the long obstacles. Also, the rabbit should be strong and muscular so its high jumps will not hurt it because it can take its toll on the rabbit as they continue to do those jumps.
I suppose. How can you tell if a rabbit is muscular
Well,
without eating them first?
well, hope he's like more developed. You see, his body is taut. As
Wow, I
opposed
guess.
Puzzle.
Did you take him to the gym? You know,
I don't think they're already
leg presses. Go anyways. Are there so how high can a rabbit jump, John?
well, in terms of record jumps, the world record for the highest rabbit jump is 42 inches.
42 inches. That's 3.5 feet.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
that's 3.5 feet.
right.
Wow. That's
It's
a high jump.
It is. Now, it was achieved by Miss Pinky's grand champion, Harachuku, named Dobie. And this rabbit also holds the world record for the longest jump at 9.88 feet.
Like,
So
almost 10 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 feet.
amazing.
Wow. That name, that sounds like those typical horse names that
Right.
or show dogs. Yeah. Wow. 10 feet. That's amazing.
It's amazing. Now, if you want to learn more about the sport, remember one thing. Don't Google Swedish bunnies jumping and watch that video at work. Just
Ah.
Did you learn that the hard way, John?
no, I did. I'm just thinking out. I'm just thinking out loud. You know, I'm just thinking out loud. There, Paul. Oh, okay. So that's it. Rabbit jumping, folks.
There's a
Wow.
weird sport for us. Once again, John, thanks so much. Bunny jumping of the athletic kind.
Yes.
You just never know what you're going to run into on What in the World these days. So thanks again, John, for that great sport.
You're welcome, Paul.
I'm gonna move us back over to full screen here because it's time for Bluff the co-host.
Whoa.
Yeah, there you go. You can hear the music in the background. Very
Doo,
famous.
doo, 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 doo.
All right, so Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. Every week I have 3 additional stories specifically for Bluff the co-host, similar to the ones we've been talking about, with the added difference that not all of them are true. Some or all may be real, some or all may be bluffs. It's up to John, Karen, and those of you listening in to decide which is which. We allow gambling, so get your bets in right now. Karen and John, put your hands on the buzzer and let's get right to story number 1. Researchers watching underwater camera coverage of a large group of octopuses living off the coast of Australia were shocked when females started picking up shells and throwing them at the male octopuses who appeared to be harassing them. Throwing may be the wrong word. They used their arms to place the shells under their bodies, turned to face the males, and fired the shells with a spray of water and ink. This is the first time the researchers have ever seen this behavior, and some thought it might be a mating ritual, but there was no 8-legged tango after the throwing. The males were seen huddling in a cave, trying to come up with new pickup lines. Okay, so story from Australia. Female octopuses throwing shells at male octopuses who were harassing them. Wow, Me Too underwater. Real or bluff, Karen? What do you think?
First of all, I think it's octopi, not
I think-
octopuses.
It's not octopussies, it's octopuses. Although in this story, it could go either way. No, I looked it up, Karen.
Really?
Octopuses is also the proper
Oh,
way. And-
okay. All right. So
also nowadays the preferred way, but octopi can be used as well. So use
It's-
whichever you choose
yeah.
to tell us if it's real or bluff.
so it's outrageous, but I'm going to say it's true.
Karen says it's a real story. It's true. What about you, John?
Well, yeah, I agree with Karen. I think this is very plausible, and I can see that you know, the females, if they're being harassed, they have to be able to they have to be able to defend themselves, and they
Defend
have to
themselves.
come up
Okay.
with
Would you Google a video of this, John? Okay, so John and Karen both say that was a real story from Australia. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say you're both right. That was a real story.
Yay.
All
Very
right,
good.
well,
Okay, you're both
good.
starting off with a win. Let's
Very
move right on to story number 2. People of a certain age may remember Geritol, the tonic advertised constantly on television for people with iron-poor, tired blood who drank it to get twice the iron in a pound of calf's liver, plus the 12% alcohol. Well, it turns out Geritol is still sold, and the maker is trying to increase its popularity by offering 100 free bottles of it to people who are at least 100 years old and willing to appear in new commercials to tell a new, older generation how it is good for everything that ails them without mentioning what ails them so they don't get into trouble with the Federal Trade Commission. A number of radio talk shows have already been lined up for the commercials, and the company is in contact with Betty White, who turned 100 in January. All right, John. So Geritol is back in business looking for 100-year-old people who will plug the product in return for 100 bottles of free Geritol. Real or bluff?
Boy, I don't even know how long it would take you to drink 100 bottles. Of drink. That's my first
My
thought.
grandmother used to drink it. Not very long.
Wow. I'm going to say it's a bluff, Paul. I don't think that's. I don't think that. I mean, it seems to me a product that's past its prime, and I don't know how many people you can attract to drinking some, a drink like that. Years ago, of course, but now I'm going to say it's a bluff. I don't think so.
John says it's a bluff. Okay, Karen, what do you think? Real or bluff?
I have to agree with him. There are so many other products on the market. I can't imagine. And like he said, 100 bottles. I mean, they'll probably be dead before they finish the first.
Well, it's the symbolism, 100
Yeah.
years old,
I
100.
understand.
Yeah.
It's to distribute to your friends at the senior center.
Oh, yeah. It's a bluff.
So Karen and John both say that's a bluff. Let's check with the judges. And believe it or not, although Geritol, it really does still exist, that's a bluff.
Thank God. Yeah, that's good.
Isn't it? But I think it's amazing that Geritol still exists.
Yeah.
I don't know where to find it. I like this. I don't want to try it, but
I'm going to have to walk into Walgreens and look for it now.
ask them for it. See what the clerk does.
Here's a quick question. When's the last time you saw a Geritol commercial on television, for example?
Oh, it's been, well,
Decades, right?
okay. So we're going to take a tangent here for just 1 second. The lovely Donna and I were watching television Saturday afternoon for a little while before we went someplace. And what's on TV but the Lawrence Welk show?
Oh,
But Geritol was a major sponsor on
Yep.
the Lawrence Welk show. This was on PBS, so there were no commercials, obviously. So I don't have an answer for that, John.
okay.
It had to be 20 or 30 years easily.
Oh, easy.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let's check the scoreboard, and it's 2-2. This is highly unusual. Both
Yes, it
John and Karen are 2 for 2 on the show. So let's see if I can shake things up here with story number 3. Get ready. Police in Minnesota pulled over a car that was swerving down the road and realized this was not their usual traffic stop when the driver warned them there was a squirrel loose in the car that was causing him to swerve. Sure enough, there was a squirrel on the rear deck that the driver said must have been hiding in the car. The police slowly opened the back door to let the squirrel out and noticed something else strange. The squirrel was swerving down the road as it ran away. They searched the car, and in addition to the stash of nuts under the seat the squirrel had squirreled away, there was a half-eaten bag of marijuana. Believe it or not, the man beat the arrest when his lawyer convinced the jury the squirrel could have stolen it from his roommate's car and stashed it with the nuts for a winter high and the munchies. All right, Karen, the squirrel in the car eating marijuana that the guy didn't get a ticket for. Real or bluff?
You know what? We ticket people for the weirdest things, and he should have been ticketed, but he wasn't. And I think it's real.
Okay, Karen says it's real. John, how about you?
Oh, I think it's a bluff.
John
I
says
would say it's a bluff. Yeah.
you can't imagine it.
No,
You want to change your answer?
no, I'm going to. It's my story and I'm sticking to it.
He's sticking to it. Okay, so Karen says it's real. John says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges because somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. And the judges say it's a bluff. John DiNallo is our winner for the week. How about that?
All right.
3
Hey.
for 3. Congratulations, John. Your prize is in the mail, a bottle of Geritol.
Can't wait to get it. Can't wait to get it, Paul. Thanks.
How about that? That's right. For your tired iron, poor blood.
There you go. Very good. Very good.
All right. Well, we've reached the end of another What in the World. I hope you had a good time. I hope you at least had as much fun as we do every week, because we really do have a great time bringing the weird news from around the world to you. I want to thank Karen, our producer and co-host, and media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. As I always say, go there, look at us first, and then take a look at the many other great podcasts that she has there. And as always, I thank my old friend John DiNallo for the sports and color commentator and all-around good guy. Thank you, John, once again.
You're welcome, Paul. Thank you very much.
And we'll see everybody next week.
Yes, we will. And everybody have a safe holiday weekend.
Oh, that's right. Happy Labor Day. Yeah.
It's going to be Labor Day, and
Good
hopefully
weather.
you won't have to labor. So have a great
right.
day.
Happy Labor
Bye-bye.
Day, everybody. Take care.